Good morning, everybody. It is January 27th. I hope you bought your AMC stocks. I hope you bought your GameStop stocks because you know what? If we're going to let the inmates run the asylum, we're going to have fun while the Titanic sinks. That's for damn sure. My name is Nick. Welcome to the Hi5 series presented by the DH podcast. And we're going to keep this one super short and sweet today. We're going to start with Houston and Washington, where Russell Westbrook, John Wall first faced off since the monster blockbuster trade that sent John Wall to Houston, and it sent Russell Westbrook up to Washington with Bradley Beal. So it ended up being that Houston won the game, but where the game really mattered was that both Russ and John Wall got teed up. They both seem to have very different accounts of what happened. John Wall has always been a super calm, collected, cool guy. Of course, he gets intense. Of course, he plays passionately, but he's not hot-headed. Is never a word that I've seen described about John Wall, but it is often described that way for Westbrook, and he kept that going again because what we saw was, according to John Wall, post-game press conference, he said, just normal basketball talk, just some normal trash talk. That's it. Kept it really calm, collected. Russ went off a little bit in the post-game interview, said that, they got double texts. He didn't care, but it was more about the fact that people were spouting lies and nonsense. It's trash talk. I mean, I don't know what they said. Nobody knows what they said besides those two guys, maybe a couple others on the court. But there's just some stuff that they got to take in stride, because if Westbrook was back when Kevin Garnett was in his stride or when Kobe was in his stride, I mean, they might have played. He played against them, but very at the tail end of both of their careers. And so, I mean, if he was back in both their primes, he would be throwing an absolute conniption fit, because it's not like what these guys are saying are true necessarily. The point of trash talk is to get under your opponent's skin. It's to make them think so much and get inside their head that it affects their play on the court. And for John Wall, he won that. It worked. It accomplished. He got a tech too, but it really threw Russ off his game from there. That being said, a side note to this, Russell Westbrook is having a really good shooting season. Incredibly selective shots. He's not just chucking shit up, and it shows. Through 163 shots, he's got 163 points. So depending upon the percentage of which one of those is, which one of those are twos, which one of those are three, he's floating somewhere between a 45 and a 50% clip. Probably 45 to 48% clip, if we're being honest. Unreal. I mean, most guys will take, when you're shooting from the field, you're going to want at least a 40. No questions asked. That's what some of the best players do. When you're shooting free throws in an open gym, yeah, you can make 85 out of 100. It's very different when there's people in the crowd. Very, very different. We're going to move to number 2. I don't know. These are just kind of all a barrage today, so you kind of pick them apart how you want. We talked about this yesterday. We need to update this today. MLB Hall of Fame voting. 14. Count them. 14 ballots were turned in blank. I couldn't hate this more if I tried. I really couldn't. These MLB writers have so much a God complex. It's a holier than thou complex. Look at me, listen to me, pay attention to me, that they will turn in the blank ballots, tweet about it, strut themselves around, feeling like they're good people when they haven't done shit. Without these guys, you would never get a paycheck. You wouldn't be able to put food on your family's table without these people. And the immense slap in the face that you're giving to them, the hell's up with that? You can't have that. It's impossible. And those people, those 14 people, should not be allowed to vote ever again. Baseball, it is literally eating itself from the inside. There are certain things like blacking out local games and not allowing people to post clips onto social media. There's a reason why viewership is falling. And because it's some people at the top, I'm not just blaming Manfred. Of course, the buck stops at him. But there are plenty of other people to blame along the way. There are super easy fixes. Like, if I have local cable, then I should be able to watch this game. If I have purchased the game, I should also be able to watch it even if I'm out of market. Not that difficult. Other sports do this. It's not difficult. Letting people post clips on Twitter is why we have NBA Twitter. There's literally a name for it, and why it's one of the most volatile places on the internet. Also, one of the most fun. Let's just start off with that. NBA Twitter, I love you. I get to be, a part of it every once in a while. It's incredibly fun. MLB needs that, because you want to know what the young people are doing, the people that will give a shit about your sport in the next 5 years. They're on TikTok, they're on YouTube, they're on Twitter, they're on Instagram, and if you can't get on the boat, you're going to sink. No question about it. And the MLB's sinking. They know it, everybody else knows it, and this just proves it. When you got gatekeepers that are acting holier than thou, not allowing anybody in the Hall of Fame because of their own morality. What offends you, and I'm taking this from Dallas Braden, so give him complete credit, but he made something, a really incredible point. What offends you may not offend me. So why are you being granted the morality judge? The Hall of Fame is not a morality contest. It's a baseball contest. And if you want to, I've gone on the record multiple times saying we can have an asterisk hallway. But I promise you that if those guys were to get into the MLB Hall of Fame and people are actually allowed to go do things again, the amount of people that would be traveling to the MLB Hall of Fame would be skyrocketing. You want to know why? Because those guys in the steroid era, they made MLB the most money they've ever seen, the most eyeballs they've ever seen. And then it all went downhill from there. So, paying your respects to some of the greatest hitters and some of the greatest pitchers of all time. And if you want to put them in a corner and say, hey, you know what? This is the asterisk hallway. These guys use PEDs, but they contributed to the sport. People know them. They're household names, and they deserve a spot somewhere in here. I'm not going to go look at Shoeless Joe Jackson. I'm going to go watch Sammy Sosa and Mark McGwire in the summer of '97, bomb for bomb for bomb for bomb for bomb for bomb, to where when I was a little kid, what my first impression of the MLB was, they cut out of other live events, they cut out of ESPN, they cut out of local news when these guys would come up to the plate. When Barry Bonds was above 750, every last single time he stepped at the plate, they cut to him. You want to talk about something that will never happen in the MLB again. They don't even do that for the World Series. The sport is dying. There are very simple ways, not even to get it to thrive, just to get it to breathe and stay alive. So many simple fixes. And the fact that these guys can't see it, or let me tell you what, they do see it, they know it, they choose to readily act against it, it means they're okay with their sport dying when they die. Because when they're gone, it's not their problem anymore. Simple as that. And it's really shitty to see that. I'm embarrassed for them, frankly. But again, you may not be offended when I'm offended by. So why do you give a shit? I'm not being morality police here. I'm just saying that other people shouldn't. So my quick rant about the MLB over, but I think it really needed to be said. It sucks. I love baseball. And to see this happening at the peak of the peak, it's just not right. It's just not right. Truly isn't. Finally, I want to end with a game of the day, since we kind of covered 5 things, kind of didn't cover 5 things. I don't know, however you chop it up, however you want to do that. That's your prerogative. I believe whatever you say. I'll take it at word. We got Lakers 76ers tonight. Lakers traveling to Philadelphia. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. We've clearly got an East powerhouse in the Nets that when they're healthy, unless they're playing the Cavs, they're really damn good. So, actually, Durant missed a game. But whatever. That's not the point. You got the East powerhouse, and you got these guys that are clinging to life in the East. You got the Celtics, you got the 76ers, you got the Wizards, that these guys are just clinging to life to be able to scratch. It's essentially like what we saw in AFC football. The Nets are the Chiefs. They're the pinnacle. They're what people are gunning for. The Bills, the Browns, the Ravens. They're the Celtics, the 76ers, the Wizards. And I'm sure that I'm missing a couple here and there, but it doesn't matter because nobody's at full strength, and when they're trying, nobody's going to be able to compete. Simple as that. Although I do have Bucks money line. Taking it, it's 10 days away from the Super Bowl. Bucks money line. That's my thought process. I just can't bet against Tom. I cannot do it. Cannot do it. Super difficult. Although I do love Pat Mahomes. Regardless, this is not a sit-out game for LeBron, so he's going to be traveling. It's going to be great. It's going to be great. He absolutely balled out against the Cavs, so another road series for these guys. You're going to see Lakers at 76ers tonight. We'll see how it goes. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for turning into another edition of the Hi5 series presented by the DH Podcast. We will see you bright and early tomorrow.